If you're struggling to gain respect from people, this video might help you. So this video is mainly for students, but it actually applies to everybody. In fact, I think it applies to a lot more adults than students, which is kind of sad. So stick around. I've been a teacher for a little over 6 years now, and one of my favorite things about being a teacher is not only teaching content to students, but also teaching my students how to improve their character. It's the most rewarding part of the job. In the moments in which I really get to teach students how to improve their character are when they're really screwing up. They're getting in trouble. They're causing a ruckus, a hoopla. And to be honest, I've seen almost every single behavior under the sun. Nothing surprises me anymore. It's just part of the job. And to be honest, I love the drama. And so I have countless stories and moments in which I've had to sit down with students and call them out. And you know what I've found? Whenever you call out a teenager on their behavior, you usually have one of two responses. And that is very telling as to whether or not they're growing into the person that they need to be. Let's say I have two students, student A and student B. Student A gets in trouble a whole lot. He talks out in class. He sometimes says bad words. He rarely pays attention. He says rude things to his peers. He's always getting out of his seat. He makes inappropriate jokes. He plays football in the hallway. And he gets yelled at a lot. His name is shouted from every classroom from all of his teachers. Student B, on the other hand, gets in trouble once or twice a month. Maybe he was the one throwing the football in the hallways. Maybe he is the one who is talking out in class. And I, as the teacher, have the responsibility of sitting down with both and doing my noble job of saying, stop it. Or whatever I need to. And this is the most important part. How does the student respond? Well, I'll tell you this much. Although student A gets in trouble a whole lot more than student B, student A, quite frankly, is respected by his teachers and doesn't actually get many phone calls home. He doesn't even go to detention. Student B, on the other hand, although he doesn't get in trouble as much as student A, he gets in way more trouble and faces far more severe consequences. What's the difference? I'll explain. Every single time student A gets in trouble, he says these two magic words: I'm sorry. In fact, he knows a few other words. I didn't mean to do that. It's not going to happen again. And many other types of apologies. Student B, on the other hand, when he is called out for his behavior, he fights back and he says things like this: I wasn't doing anything. Why are you getting so mad? To which I'd say, I'm not really mad, but I'm just telling you, please don't do that. And no matter how hard you try, you cannot get the student to apologize. And when you try to make them apologize, they'll say something like this: why should I apologize? I don't feel bad for what I did. I will only respect people who respect me. To which I say, no duh. But the fact of the matter is, respect truly is earned. And the more respect you show other people, the more likely you are to receive respect in return. I've had a few students like student A who were daily in trouble. Sometimes they even did things that were completely inappropriate, but they always owned up to their mistakes. But if you're like student B and you refuse to take ownership and responsibility of your mistakes, and you refuse to have the wherewithal to just simply apologize, to be responsible, you make things worse, not so much for the teacher and your peers, but for yourself. Yes, it's easier to respect someone who respects you, but furthermore, a respectable person respects others, and before that, they respect themselves. Whenever you refuse to take ownership for your mistakes and apologize, you're not respecting yourself. And so for students like this, I will sit down with them and say, listen, I know you don't feel bad, but you're making things worse for yourself by not apologizing. And I've had some students say, well, I'm still not going to apologize because why should I lie about how I feel? Well, let's think of it like this. You got in trouble because you either did something that was wrong or you did something that unintentionally offended someone. And healthy people feel bad for doing the wrong thing or accidentally hurting people. If you don't feel bad, it doesn't make it any less wrong. But if you have no sense of guilt in you and all you care about is yourself, you might as well save yourself a whole lot of trouble by just apologizing. Isn't honest about how you feel? Maybe not, but clearly you don't care about other people's feelings. Why should you care about your own? And I would assume you don't want things to get worse for yourself. So you might as well play the game. And the game is this: just act like you're sorry. And I know I'm sounding very preachy as a teacher right now, but I'll say this as someone who got in trouble a whole lot when he was in school, and as someone who has made plenty of mistakes in his professional career, and because I myself would rather have things in life a lot easier, I just own up to my mistakes when I can. And you know what happens? People actually like you and they respect you a lot more. Be like student A. You can make all the mistakes you want and you can get away with a whole lot if you just say, I'm sorry. I mean, I can't force you to develop a moral compass, but this is a tool that I've seen help people quite a bit. Own your mistakes, apologize, and you'll get the respect you're looking for. Or fight back and make things a lot more difficult for you. I'll say this much: if you choose to be like student B, I commend you for taking on a more challenging life. A life that is actually far more difficult than it needs to be. But that's the beauty of both of these examples. You have a choice. You always have a choice.